guys, Karen Langston from Parents & Co. Friday, goodness me, another week done. I was just saying to my husband last night, gosh, that was week 8 kind of clapping for key workers and NHS staff last night. It was just, it's quite incredible actually, isn't it, just how quick the time goes, and in this kind of very strange kind of existence that we're kind of living in at the moment. So last day chatting about naps. So today I wanted to just talk to you briefly about dropping a nap. When is the right time to start dropping one of your baby's naps? So kind of what I always look at to start with is kind of their age. There is kind of these perimeters, again, guidance, a bit like awake time guidance between naps charts. And there is these perimeters kind of, age range of when babies normally start to kind of like drop a nap. So you might have your little ones kind of doing 4 naps a day, and sometimes around kind of 4 or 5 months, they drop down to 3 naps. And then again, when they get to kind of like any time kind of between 6, 7 months, they're dropping down to 2 naps a day. And then that kind of dropping down to 1 nap can be any time really, 12 up until about 17 months. Sometimes that they kind of drop down to 1 nap. So again, there are those kind of like guidance, but again, there are kind of signs that you can look out for that baby may actually be ready to drop one of their naps. And things that I kind of suggest that parents look out for is, if suddenly you're finding, that because they're still having maybe a last nap of the day, and that could be, anytime 3:34, that's starting to kind of interfere with bedtime. So whereas they used to go down at bedtime really easily, suddenly they're taking ages to fall asleep. They don't actually naturally seem very tired. You're really struggling kind of to get them down at bedtime. That can be a sign that, their sleep pressure isn't high enough. We talk about the sleep tank isn't full, and, so they're actually genuinely not kind of like tired enough to go to bed. So, that can definitely be a sign that it's time to possibly try and drop that last nap. Also, I tend to find is baby, maybe isn't kind of like ready to, it doesn't seem tired enough kind of going to sleep at that last nap. I recently had a mummy that I worked with. Her little guy was 6, he was just over 6 months, and she always did her 3rd nap on the go. So they'd go out for a walk because that was the only way that she'd kind of like get him to sleep. He struggled to sleep at home. So, but what she was finding was that 3rd nap suddenly, whereas he used to fall asleep about 4, he'd be lying there awake in the buggy, looking around at the trees, and kind of, he suddenly wouldn't fall asleep until she was almost home again at about 4:30. And obviously then that was going to kind of interfere with him going to bed. So we felt that actually it was time to kind of like stop that 3rd nap. And there would be some days where he was so tired that, it was really hard to kind of keep him going till bedtime. So again, there was lots of little kind of like, distractions that I suggested to mum to try and kind of keep him going, but also to bring bedtime forward a little bit. So kind of by 15 minutes, we brought bedtime forward. And that seemed to, after about a week or so, he really settled down to going to bed much better again. So kind of like, another thing to look out for is if they are really struggling to kind of like go down for that 3rd nap, it's taking them ages to get to sleep. Another sign that I tend to say to parents to look out for is if mornings start earlier. So whereas they used to be really good little sleepers, and suddenly you're finding, they're waking up at 5 in the morning, chatting to themselves, you know, just not wanting to go back to sleep. There could be other factors to why they're doing that, but sometimes it can be because maybe they're having too much daytime sleep. So, you know, it's either because they're overtired and not having enough sleep, or maybe you're kind of getting to that stage where you're thinking about dropping a nap, and actually that their kind of early rising is caused because they're having too much daytime sleep. So that can be another sign to look out for to why kind of baby may be at the stage of dropping one of their naps. And also another thing that I tend to say, another suggestion is maybe they were doing really good naps, so their naps were quite consistent. You know, maybe they had an hour in the morning, an hour and a half, say at lunchtime, maybe up to 2 hours, and then they'd have like a 30-minute tea time nap. Tends to be kind of like how I tend to find that, you know, if your little one's having 3 naps, roughly how that works. And then maybe suddenly you start to see that babies really shortening their nap times, you know, whereas they used to be having, you know, a really nice long lunch sleep, that maybe you're seeing that they're only sleeping, say, for, you know, an hour. So that can be another reason to maybe why it's time to look at dropping one of their daytime naps. And I tend to say that if they are having 3 naps, it's the 3rd nap that needs to go first. So to kind of like, you know, get them down to 2 naps. And then, you know, what you might find is you need to gradually push their awake window. You know, again, you don't want baby to become too overtired and they become fractious and it's, you know, really hard to get them down for a sleep. So, you know, by stretching them and pushing them each day a little bit more by 10-15 minutes can really help to kind of build in those 2 naps. And as I said, you might find that you actually need to bring bedtime forward just that little bit as well, so they don't get overtired. But you know, as I said, every baby is really different. Some babies really like their daytime sleep, and you know, it may be that, you know, as a parent you need to kind of give them that real nudge to kind of maybe start looking at dropping one of their day sleeps. But you know, just be guided on kind of like how tired they seem. But yeah, I tend to find that, you know, dropping a nap can sometimes be a bit challenging for parents because, you know, you've just got into a really nice kind of routine. Everything seems to be working really nicely. Everything seems really consistent. And then, you know, baby kind of changes. And, you know, that your whole kind of like nice structure to the day seems to not be as easy as it was. So, you know, if you're finding that it is harder to kind of get baby down for a nap, or as I said, they're waking up a bit earlier in the morning, or bedtime is becoming a bit more of a challenge to kind of get them to sleep, then it is time to maybe look at dropping one of their naps. I hope you found that useful, and if you want a little bit more support on kind of looking at your baby's kind of, you know, routine, kind of their schedule, you know, please get in touch. I'm more than happy to kind of do a little chat with you more one-to-one, because obviously when we're looking at your baby, it's looking at the whole 24 hours. So I hope you have a really good weekend. Enjoy some of the lovely sunshine that we've got. Get outside, and I will see you again on Monday. Bye for now.